Hey everyone, welcome. Brian Grieve, Director of Education, Z.one Concept, North America. Great privilege to be with you today. Thank you for tuning in. I'm going to take you through a really cool haircutting technique that's divided only into 5 sections. So let's not waste any time. Let's get straight on with the task in hand. So here's my little girl that I prepared, and as they often say, something I prepared earlier. So you can see that what's happened here is we've separated out a fringe section and 2 side sections just in front of the ear and on the opposite side, and then separated out the top section from what would technically be like the control point. Sometimes we say the crown, but not all crowns are in the same place. And then the final section is all of the back. So that's where we're going to be starting the haircut. We're going to be working with a bob interpretation, but this is very fresh. It's got a very youthful feel about it, and it will be bringing in some internal texture also. But what we're going to do to start is we're going to build some horizontal graduation on an angle, which will give us some good volume through the back. So let's get started with the technique. So let's move the head over slightly. Okay. Now, what we're doing is we're taking diagonal back sections. So if everybody can see that, thank you, Gerard. And thank you so much to Gerard Caruso, Creative Director for the Z.one Concept North America, who's very ably filming today. Okay, so you can see vertical back sections all the way, and this is going to continue all the way to the opposite side of the head. Okay, so we'll maybe move the head back slightly. I think was the instruction I would really like to get a hold of. I'm trying my best to interpret what's going on here.
No,
just talk it.
Yeah, just tilt the mannequin.
That's what I was attempting to do, George. There we go. Okay, so what we're going to do is work with horizontal graduation. Now, the best way to achieve the elevation is to undercomb the hair this way. If we comb down to weight. We want to remove some of the weight and build up a very nice shape. So we start the haircut. Now we're on an angle. You'll notice that I'm going from shorter and it's gradually coming a little longer towards the front. Thank you, Gerard. There you go. So you're working on a slight angled shape. It's following the shape of the separation. Okay. So what we do now, we take the next section, exactly the same. You'll notice I'm taking quite small sections, very important. When you work with any type of graduation, especially a horizontal graduation, very important to take small, finer sections. Otherwise, you run the risk of creating steps in the hair. We want to create what we call a gradual slope. Okay. So that's now, you can see how that's building up towards the ear, and then we'll work right down into the nape. Cool. There we go. Thank you. Good. Awesome. So right away we start to get what we call like a bevel in the hair, and that's exactly what we're looking for. So again, another vertical back section. You know, like many haircuts, there's a lot of potential repetition, but the key is to keep your eye, be very focused. So as we are elevating, we're elevating a little more each section to find our guide underneath. You'll always find what I call the shadow. Look for the shadow. So if I hold this up and then Gerard can come in, you'll see there is your shadowed line. You see it underneath, and then we can remove like so. So you see my fingers are on an angle. They're not too flat. If they're too flat, it will go too square. Okay? And then right down into the nape of the neck again. Now, the beauty with this haircut is that the technique, the actual execution is really quite straightforward. It's really quite, I would say, I never really like the word easy, but it's efficient. I think efficient's a great word. As we work through, you can see already, now see the shadow underneath, that's what we're looking for. See how we're removing what was an existing classic bob shape, and we're modifying. So now, because the sections are wider, I'm having to take it in 2 bites. So again, following through. So you'll notice I pick all of the hair up, but the hair underneath is irrelevant now. We're finished with that. So we can pick all of the hair and we take it to the point at that 45-degree angle, following our finger shape, and then in to the nape again, and right into the nape like so, okay? And you can now start to see how it's creating that shape, and it's getting itself ready to connect into the side. So a kind of a fresh way to approach a graduated bob, because most of us would probably separate it down the center and work from side to side. So this gives a kind of a nice twist on a well-used technique. Okay, and again, see, you can see the shadow under there. So that's what we're looking for, working that through. But you'll notice it's on an angle, so the section nearest the front, near the ear, is slightly longer than the hair as it comes towards the nape of the neck. Traveling through, again. Now you'll see the position of the hair, if I leave it like that. Remember, we started down here, and look where we are now. Okay, so you see the difference, you see how far the hair has traveled in its elevation. Okay, thank you, Gerard, great shot. I could feel that one, that was cool, awesome. But it's really good to be able to explain that, because I know that Gerard and I talk about this often. You know, sometimes with graduation, especially horizontal graduations, often a little misunderstood. You know, is it, where do we elevate the hair to? What point? So it's a great opportunity to be sharing this with you. Okay, so we bring the next section down, and each time now our guide becomes stronger and stronger because there is more hair. So again, elevating. Here we go. Following through. You can see it's all about remaining consistent. It's very, very important. Remain precise, and the haircut will really work very well for you. So you can see how we're elevating that hair from that central point there across to where we are, and then as the hair falls, that will fall more into the center with the graduation there. If I tip that, you may see that bit of dirt in the light. You can see you have the graduation in there, although you're pulling the hair over to the other side. Very, very cool technique. Maybe I'll turn it a little more this way, and that way we can maybe pick up some more light. There we go. Okay, great. So again, diagonal back, following all the way through. A little bit more challenging for me now because I moved the head. Why don't we do this? Let's take it from a different angle so it's easier for everybody to see. Now, I'm able to adapt this because I'm comfortable with this situation where I can work the hair from behind. I think if you're working it as I was to begin with, I think that would be more favorable for anybody a little unsure of the technique. Okay? But you can see I'm following the same exact pattern. I'm just standing in a different body position, okay? Which is allowing you to see that once again. If I comb it, you then see the graduation building up. You see it in there. There's your almost what we would call a classic horizontal graduation. And again, still vertical back. I'll turn the mannequin so we can see that separation. What's very important, and I know that again, with my great colleague Gerard here, we are very strong about being very clean with your separations or sections. At z.one Concept, we do globally like to say separations on many occasions. So there we are. So again, there is your guideline. We're elevating. Although I'm on the other side, I can still get the elevation. My guide is still there. It's always coming back to me because I'm holding it in exactly the same position, even though I've moved. Okay. So now you see that little ridge line building up. That's always very classic in horizontal graduation. It will always bring you to a slightly heavier line than a vertical graduation. Vertical graduation leaves you more of a softer curve. Horizontal will bring you more to weight. But we're going to address that later in the haircut. So moving on. So can you see how efficient this technique is? Really very enjoyable to do. It might be a challenge for some people to be starting in a completely different position, but that's all part of growing your own creativity. So as it sits there, you see the line quite strongly, but then as the hair moves and disperses, it goes much more soft because the graduation is falling back into that back area. So let's turn the head quickly, and you can see now we've literally got 2, maybe 3 sections, and there'll be slightly less hair because this hair has to travel further to the other side. I'll just bring that back slightly. Okay, so we take another diagonal back. Again, I like to always recap that. Nice and clean, very clean sections. Elevating over to the opposite side. Again, see, there's my line, see? Absolutely comes back every time because we're staying consistent. And see now, like I projected that there would be less hair because this hair from here obviously is not long enough to get that far over. So now we take the last section and we'll check if there's any, there'll probably be just a few strands. There you go. You can see that okay clearly. And we take that through, clean that off. So now we've completed one side. If you were happy to have an asymmetric look, you've already completed it. That would be really cool. But let me turn the mannequin right round, and now we shall work from the other side. So I just need to find the, where's my little, here it is. Tip the head this way slightly. Okay, so now we're going to do a repeat motion on the opposite side. So again, diagonal back, fine sections down into the nape, comb this hair out of the way. Okay, again, see, nice and clean. Okay, thank you, Gerard. He's been a great lover of clean separations. So here we go again with the undercombing, which we said is what creates the initial elevation. And we're going to work now this time, because we're on the opposite side, I'll be working down into the nape this way and then straight down. Okay. Now, what we can do at this early stage is have a quick check. That looks about reasonably good. I don't know if we can see it from there. Gerard, it's sitting really at the bottom of the ear, sitting at the bottom of the ear. So I would make a suggestion that we don't micromanage this too much at this point. What we've noticed in hair cutting, and especially in today's environment and climate, you know, with all the challenges that we have, we tend to work our way through the technique with the methods and the terminologies, and we refine the haircut afterwards. I love to use a terminology like revisit and refine, and that way we get the haircut through, we blow dry or style to a certain point, and then we revisit and clean up the hair afterwards. Some of us, I'm sure some of you that are watching, remember the days of cross-checking, and we used to drive ourselves mad with that because we would always find something, because it was sort of the mindset at the time. Okay, so here we are, look, we're continuing all the way through, doing exactly the same as we did on the previous side, working down, oh, sorry, Gerard, to the nape, and then see I run out of hair as I get right into the center. Okay. Again, you can see it's just starting to build up there where the graduation, if I bring it down the way, you see a little more of a ridge, and that builds. Nothing to be concerned with though. That's part of the reason for taking smaller sections also. Okay, I'll take a little, as I continue, I'll be doing exactly the same. I'd like to give you a little brief on the color formula that was used here on this particular example. We used our Smoothies semi-permanent range from Milkshake, and used a combination of 7.44, which is a level 7 double copper, with a small percentage of red special mixed tone and intense activating emulsion to create this vibrant. We wanted to keep it on the copper family, but just add that little red just to give it a little zing. Cool. So again, so if I leave it like that again, Gerard, you can see without touching the underneath, You can see that little ridge because I haven't brought the hair together, but it's mimicking what was going on the other side. And then as we bring the hair together, then you see more of the shape. Okay? And what I always love to share when you're working on haircuts, remember we said we'll revisit and refine? Don't worry about this. We'll be removing that afterwards, because sometimes we get a little transfixed. I'm sure some of you out there might agree with me on that we get focused on this and we're forgetting about doing the rest of the haircut. So we're just going to leave that to dry. Sometimes it's a recommendation just to let the hair dry into the hairline, because that may change the way that we look at how we're going to absolutely finish that particular portion of the hair. I can talk from experience. There's many times that I've went into a hairline and then I found some nasty surprises. So it's better, I think, just to let it dry and then we see what goes on. Okay, now we're reaching, really, you can see that was the last section there. We're reaching what I call the transition point now, because all of the hair was brought this way. We've got very little hair that will travel to this side now. Remember the previous side? All of the hair came over and there was still a few strands of hair. Now we're probably likely to be running out completely, but let's bring it over and find out. Let's have a check. There may be just a few strands there. I think we saw that as I combed that over. So we're combing over, still on the same angle. There's your shadow. Take the hair there, down into the nape. And now we can feel confident that we've run out of hair. There is no more hair. Let's remove that. There we go. Awesome. Great filming, Gerard. Thank you. Okay, so at this stage, in the space of, that was less than 15 minutes, maybe just over 10 minutes, we've actually created the basis of our shape throughout the back. Okay, so even as it stands, it would probably sit reasonably well. Remember, we said we will come and refine that after. We're now going to carry on with the haircut. So now we bring in the side sections. Okay. I love the fact I wrap up these mannequins and then I can never find the little knobby thing. There we go. Okay, so let's continue. Let's carry on this side. So we reached that point of the ear, but look, we have a guide here now. So let's take down this section. Okay. Right, let's just give that a very slight damping down. The other very important part when we're working with a lot of the haircuts, I tend to use the Milkshake leave-in conditioner, which I'm sure a lot of you are great fans, and if you're not, please try it. Fantastic leave-in conditioner, but also very, very good when you're doing more precision haircuts, because it helps to keep that hair really clean in your fingers and keeps the hair very silky. Okay, so now we comb that side section down. We're now going to project each separation into the back area. Okay, so each one will travel, and that way that will ensure us that we have some length that falls down in the front. So now we move to a vertical section. Remember before they were diagonal back. This is a vertical section, and we're going to bring this into the back area, and right away you will see your shadow. So we connect that to the shadow, and immediately, if I drop that, there you go. See, because we elevated and over-directed the hair, brought it into that back section where we were before, we've immediately created a little more length. So that's exactly what we're looking for. And take the next section. So there's not that many sections here because of, it's a small part of the side. Again, elevate, but remember to be aware of your elevation. There, and then we'll pick this up because that was too much hair for my fingers. Make sure that you stay disciplined with that, because sometimes we crunch the hair into our fingers and then we don't get a very clean line. Okay. So I'm going to take that last section to watch this. See that? We're bringing that all the way back to behind the ear, which is where we finished the back section. And we're dropping that through, and then we take that last section, keep the elevation, because that's going to ensure that we have the graduation on the perimeter edge. Now, let's watch this. When we drop this down, we instantly have cool length there. all flowing through from the back. Okay. So did you see how easy that was? And that's the whole essence of this technique. We're not trying to be too tricky. We're looking at things that can be easier, you know, that we can execute with, you know, much more efficiency. So I'm going to go around. So let's drop this side down now. Let's use a little more leave-in spray. Perfect. Okay. Right. So thank you again for tuning in. We're, you know, we're really happy to be sharing more haircut techniques along with our color techniques and our smoothing with the K-Respect. So we're really ramping up our education. Okay, so here we are. We're now back over to the start point side, and we're going to follow that graduation. And again, so a little overlap there. There we go. And again, see how it starts to create the length. That's what we're looking for. If we didn't have this part, I'd be turning the mannequin around very quickly, but we're good, so it's all good. But that's a really important point to share with you, that it's good to keep your disciplines. Try and stay very focused. Okay, and then over directing, bringing it back into that back area. And we should see our guide. There's the guide there. Dropping that down. And again, like the other side. And then we'll take that last section and elevate. Remember, the elevation is still key, because the temptation can be to, let me show you something that would be not so a good effect, is to take the hair and then flatten it down to the head like so. We need to keep the elevation so that we have that graduation running on the edge of the hair, okay, like so. Okay, so replicating the other side. Okay, cool. Let's just check. Yep, looks like we have a similar scenario going on both sides. Again, do you see how efficiently we've moved through that technique? That part of the haircut, so that's 1, 2, 3. Here's the 4th at the fringe, and then we'll move on to the top. So now I'm going to take the fringe down. Okay. Now I'm going to share 2 different options here with the fringe. If we were going to maintain a lot more kind of length through the front here, the first technique is kind of cool. So I'll have to come to this side, Gerard, for that. Let's maybe bring it this way, so in the line. So what we're going to do is we take the whole section in our fingers. You'll see it's like that soft triangular shape for the fringe. Decide on the length, and then we're going to give it half a clockwise twist. Now you might say, why are you doing that? Well, what that does is it makes sure that we keep the corners a little longer. So then we'll bring the hair down, because we want to leave it a little longer. And then I'm going to use a point cutting technique to remove some of that weight, and in a very, very soft and gentle way. Okay, so there we are. You can see how that's not a complete solid straight line, but that's ideal to create a softer fringe effect. Then when we comb it out, you see what happens is the fringe finds itself going out to the corners there, and it's a little shorter in the middle. So just wanted to share that. That's a Z.one concept technique that's very, very popular. And you can see how it leaves that slightly shattered line. The hair's already like kicking out. So that can be very popular for a lot of users. I'm going to show you another fringe technique, but I'll do the top first, and then we'll move into the fringe, and I'll show you another option of how you can achieve a sweeping fringe effect. Okay, so now we're on the top. I'm going to turn this way, Gerard, because I'm going to stay on this side. Okay, be like so. Okay, what we want to do now is comb this hair forward and take a central separation, like so, all the way through. Okay. Did you get that, Gerard? Mm-hmm. Central separation. So from that control point all the way to the front. You don't have to worry about the just newly cut fringe, because it won't reach. Okay. But what we are going to do is pick up a very small amount of that hair from the back. Remember when we did the graduation? That's going to be our guide point. We're going to elevate 180 degrees to the ceiling. Now, if I step out of the way, can you see that guide point? It's sitting right there. Okay? So that's what we're looking for. That's our guide. But we're also going to take the hair on an angle. We're going from short to long. And we do this with a point cutting technique. So we point that in and then recomb so that we've got that piece at the front. And comb that like so. Keep a good tension on the hair because you need that for when you're doing a point cutting technique. And from there we bring each subsequent section to that previous section. And again, you'll see that shadow. And there we go. Using a point cutting technique, which, I mean, the main benefit of a point cutting technique in a haircut like this, it leaves a soft edge on the line. It's not too blunt for the internal layering effect. So again, if I maybe don't come so far up, there, you can see that shadow. You can see it right there where my shears are. And again, we point cut. Now, if you've got much finer hair, maybe on the last two sections, a little tip would be to possibly over direct, like so. So if I show that from the front, Gerard, you would over direct that towards the center of the head, and that will guarantee that you don't remove too much weight from this area if you had much finer hair. In this case, we don't have to worry too much because the our lady here has a reasonable amount of hair. Okay. Cool. So then we drop that down. But we happen to forget we've got the other side, but I'll do that from this side also. So again, we take another section and we project forward. Should I turn it this way? It might be better for the light. That's cool. And then again, we're going to find our guide. There it is. And we'll probably see that even better because the light is shining right on my fingers. Okay. So we're going to follow again through with the point cutting technique. And you see the whole idea, see? Leaves the line a little softer. It's just not such a blunt, what we'd call a blunt cut. Okay. And make sure we get that last section at the front. Yep, we managed to get that. You can work from the opposite side, but for the sake of the filming, I think it's easier if I work it this way from the same side. No worries. And then again, see, we're removing a reasonable amount of internal weight, so we get a really good, soft, layered, almost gentle texture effect with the haircut. Okay, and we move to the last section. So you notice we didn't touch any of this hair here. And there we go. And again, the most important thing with hair cutting, I believe, is to be consistent. And if you hold the hair in the same place, to the same position, your guideline will always come back. Okay. Now, what we do now, we drop the hair down, and we see there's sometimes some little overlapping. We're going to bring this into the back first, and we'll do a little connecting here, just in case there's any loose ends, not many. A little pyramid point there, a little triangle. We'll just take that off. That's a little excess. Okay, and then we shall work through to the sides, and we'll naturally connect this, elevate, and point cut. Keep the point cutting on this part because that was what was the technique used on the upper portion. So we're point cutting through. We'll drop this down. There we go. And likewise on the other side. That way we're just making sure. So again, there's the guideline. Cool. And bringing it over, there's the guide, which means that nothing is shorter than the hair that's underneath. So already we have that going on, okay? So that connects all the inside part of the hair with the outside. Let me just share that quick technique for the fringe, and then we'll clean the sides and then I have another little techniques to share with you. Okay? So sometimes you get asked a lot for that, like that sweeping fringe, and sometimes I see a lot of people bringing the hair down and turning it in their fingers, but it sometimes doesn't move very well, because whenever you bring hair in a downward direction, you're bringing it to weight, which means that that will be heavy, which will look really good if it's a solid fringe. But if we want to move a fringe from shorter to longer, a really cool little technique is to take diagonal forward sections like so, or separations, I should say, and we'll keep going till we run out of hair. Okay? So we're going to work from slightly shorter to longer on this side. And again, like we did at the back, now we bring in an element of elevation again, but we bring the hair in the opposite direction. So I'm bringing it towards myself, and you can see there's the shape on the sides. We're going to take a piece of that out and work over to the other side, see? So it starts to become, that out of the way. You see how it starts to become shorter here, and it's going to encourage itself to be longer on this corner. Now, if you have a little piece of hair here, what we can do, let me stand from behind, Gerard, it might be easier. We elevate, and then we can just gently take that little corner off, and that brings it all together. But it's soft because I elevated it. See how the line doesn't land solid, like a chunk. Okay, that's because of the elevation. So then what we do, we take the neck section, diagonal forward again. If I can just show that there. So we're moving that forward. The reason we take it on a diagonal, it makes it a lot easier to bring the hair over to the opposite side. So here we go, and then we're going to take, there's my guide, and it takes that piece out, but you'll notice when I run out of hair, it doesn't follow me, okay? So that way it starts to create that softer fringe flowing over that way. I would reckon there'll probably be one more section, so we'll bring that all down. See, we bring the whole hair down. There's a certain freedom about this technique because we bring all of it across, and can you see now? A tiny amount of hair. So we clean that off, and then what that creates is that slightly softer fringe flowing that way, but leaving the length over here. So that's a cool little technique. So instead of holding the hair down, elevate and bring it towards you. Okay. So at this stage, oh, we're looking good. Good. Gerard. Oh, here I go again. Fumbling with my guide. That's good. So I'm going to just tip the head slightly. There we go. Now we need to sort of clean the sides a little here. So we want to bring that down and just check where it's really going a little too off, and then we'll take that through because we want to be a little shorter, because this is technically a shorter look. And then that's got more of a flow now with the rest of the hair. We would still have some refining to do here, but don't worry about that. We've got that all in hand. Okay? And then the same with the other side. Again, if I can do this, I hadn't predicted that I would do so much fumbling. There we go. Again, same again. We comb it down. We look for that key point, which is, you can see it, it's right there. And take that free hand and take it through. You see, because the hair is really sitting in a kind of beveled shape for you because of the graduation. So we'll comb that last section forward there. Now you can do little twists. You could leave the front a little longer if you wanted to. Yeah. So we take that through, all the way through. Oop. I'll hold that piece because sometimes it sticks to the face of the mannequin. Okay, and again, giving us a much cleaner line. Okay, everybody follow that? Okay, all right. So, wow. I hope most of you caught what was going on there. So that was 5 sections, and we managed to more or less complete the foundation of the haircut. Of course, we have some refining to do, but you know, the real basis of this technique is to really work through the technique and not worry. Remember I said don't worry about the hairline, we're going to come to that. So let's do a little styling quickly. We're going to use some styling potion from lifestyling because this has a very soft and but very conditioning and hydrating effect on the hair. It's a great, it's almost like a little jelly, really, really cool product to blow dry with. And also doesn't weigh the hair down. And all the lifestyling products contain quinoa proteins, which have a great protective action on your hair color. So we're working that through. Now, please remember when you work a product into the hair, you don't take the product and go like that. Okay? Or as us boys used to do when we were younger, just put a piece of gel right in the front and have like 6 little strands of hair at the front. So make sure we work it through. Okay? Now, I said to Gerard, I'm going to share a little technique when we're drying. I'm only going to do a small amount and then I'm going to refine, because I have a little surprise for you. Okay? So we're taking the dryer, taking our milkshake, or cool milkshake hair dryer, and our bent brush, Z.one Concept bent brush, available. And we're going to work what we call a wrapping technique. Okay, let's bring this over slightly. Is that better, Gerard? Thank you. We're going to call what we call a wrapping. What we want to avoid with a haircut like this is too much getting underneath the hair, and especially maybe with round brushes, because it will make it too like puffy, too bulbous. We want to have a kind of smoother, like not flatter, but you still want some body. So let me show you a couple of sections and then we'll move on, okay? Because sometimes the dryer is a little noisy when we're recording. So here we go. Oh, no we won't. Technical glitch. Oh, there you go. Sitting underneath the banner. So the key is to work the blow dryer and your brush and wrap the hair like so. So you're working it. Now you'll notice the shorter piece is here and the longer is here, but I'm actually moving the hair in the opposite direction. And you can see how it starts to create that wrapped effect. Then you can bring it back and wrap it the other way. And we tend to do that all the way through. Sometimes you can be lifting the hair, get underneath like so. A very pleasant type of blow drying sometimes for the client or the guest. So I'll switch over, and then this time I'll switch hands so that I'm now using the brush with my left hand. And again, wrapping. And you're keeping good control. Now if you feel you want to do a little more blow drying, you can get underneath and bring that hair up like so. Keep it on the brush. That way you get the maximum drying potential. And with the bent brush, it's very aerated, so the air is flowing through the brush. And you can see right away, you get that very smooth finish. Okay. Wow. So you can see that you would work that through the whole head with the bent brush, wrapping and wrapping. Now, with the back, actually maybe I should just show that, Gerard, yeah? I think it'd be more cool. The back is slightly different. The one thing we want to really avoid with the back is getting underneath it, because you'll pull the hairline out and it makes it stick out. So it's all about the dryer control. You want your dryer to be coming from above or from the side, like so. And you work your brush this way, see? Like that. And you can see how the hair starts to flow, and you're making sure that you're keeping the hairline flatter. You're not trying to do this, because it will suddenly have like the fact you put maybe a curling iron on the underneath. So there, so work that through, and then work it the other way. And you can achieve really quite a smooth finish with the hairline by working the dryer in a downward motion. So my hope is that these little tips have been very useful. You can see how efficiently you can get that smooth fringe on the front. And that's just dried very quickly. There's more finishing you can do to it. Okay, so you ready for some more? Let's put that over there. And like they say on the cook shows, a little something I prepared earlier. Step out the frame, Gerard, and here comes a replica of what we've just done. Would you say they're kind of similar? Somebody please say yes. Let's bring this up. Would you say they're kind of similar? Slight difference in the colour. I've used two different colour formulas, but very, very similar. So this is the same haircut, dried and more in a finished position, more cleanly finished, but we still need to refine slightly. So I was looking forward to the opportunity to being able to share this with you. Remember we spoke earlier about when you work with horizontal graduation, you can potentially have a kind of solid line. I think on this one it's not too solid, but most of us will see it somewhere. So this is the first part that we want to take notice of. Let me turn it this way, John. Yeah, there you go. And what we're going to do is take vertical sections now, so it's almost like a type of cross-checking, and elevate straight out from the head and see that area there where that shape is, right on that point there. I know Gerard's coming straight in on that, that's awesome. That is the area that we want to pay some attention to. We work it very lightly. You'll notice I'm avoiding taking big amounts of hair out. I'm lightening the area, but I don't want to disturb the shape too much. But immediately what it does, what we call diffuses the shape. It takes away that solid line. So let me repeat that again. The key is the elevation, which then produces that little point for you. And then we just slowly, well not slowly, but softly I should say, work into that point, drop it, and immediately you get a softer effect. And part of the mannequins had sections that were pre-lightened, so it is really important that we do this, otherwise we don't want to have, you know, those kind of choppy lines. And this formula was done with, again, smoothies, milkshake smoothies, semi-permanent range, and this was an 8.43 with, whoop, there you go, see, look, there's another little point. See, now this is where we refine. That's a more obvious one. Let me just stop with the formula while we do this. That was really key that we picked that up. Otherwise, there's very little blending going on. That's where that transition area is from the back to the sides. And right away, see the difference that makes there. Okay. Now look at this, look. Would we say that this looks heavier than this? So again, we're going to take this, elevate, the elevation's key. Wow, there it comes again, see? Anywhere where you see a point between two shorter points, that's excess weight. And we want to just make sure that we balance that out. I would not recommend to blunt cut that because it will create another scenario for you in your hair. So there you go. One more, let's just bring it to the front. There should be one tiny little point. There it is. Okay, brilliant. So let's do that. Okay, and now you see the difference. Wow, that looks much softer along that edge. Okay, cool. Okay, so these are the little refining techniques. I'll do the same here, Gerard. It's not quite as obvious on this side because the hair travels further, but there we go. Let's just soften that. So this was Smoothie's 8.43, but we added some orange mix into it also, the orange special. Yeah, about 10% of the formula to just give it that little extra zing. Made it a little different from the other mannequin. Okay, and there you can see from the haircut it's pretty clean, but we just wanted to check, make sure. Looking good. And then let's just have a quick check on the perimeter shape, and then we're golden. We'll put a little product on to finish off, just to put the finishing touch on the hair. Okay, so it's a little longer in this corner. So let's just take our scissor and point that gently. See, sometimes you don't really need to take a lot of hair off to create the finish that you're looking for. A little heavy just in that center piece there. But the essence of this haircut also is it has to be able to move. It's a very soft effect in the hair. It's not to be too rigid. We really do want it to kind of move. Okay? And that's great for the client as well, because they want to be able to shake their hair. And then we'll do one more quick cross check right over that very top section, but we're taking a large section just to make sure. See, there's just a tiny discrepancy there. This is where the refining, but we recommend that you do this when it's dry, because you have a stronger visual and you know exactly where the hair is going to lie. Okay, perfect. Oh, there you go. So exactly the same haircut, brought more to a point of finish. And we're going to put this girl up. Let's brush her through. And remember, I said the essence of the haircut is for it to be able to move and flow. Let's take a little design wax from Lifestyling, for those of you that are not familiar with it. This brings up a great shine in the hair. It's a fabulous and really soft product, very easy for the client to use, because you can see it's very, very soft, very sparkly. Has this natural glistening effect for the hair. So rub a small amount of that, and we're just going to run that through the hair very gently, all the way through. And it has a non-sticky, very, very soft finish effect. It just makes that hair look really cool. Okay, a little movement in the hair. Wow, there you go. And if you'd like, Gerard, I'd be happy just to turn that, pick that up and turn that so everybody can see. So you can see how you get that very, very soft, classic effect. Still lots of body in the hair. We haven't taken the hair so short that it becomes, you know, very kind of hard. It's a very, very soft haircut, very pleasing. And, you know, that's been executed in approximately, I would say we're pretty close to 40 minutes on that, start to finish, including, you know, if I'd done the blow drying. So, Gerard, zooming in on some of the Lifestyling products that are on offer. The other thing, when we work with colour, our colour specifics range is really key. Now, both these mannequins had pre-lightened pieces, so we recommend when we use the Pro Colour Equalizer. Now, this is a magic product because it balances the porosity in those lighter pieces, and it makes sure that the new colour that's coming on adheres excellently as well. And for your clients and your mannequins, the Real Diamond product is the Powerful Protector. This is an absolutely marvelous product. If you haven't used it before, you can apply this to the skin. It's a protector and it stops irritation, but you can actually push it into the hairline, say somebody like myself, and you can color over the top of it, and it doesn't stop the color from working, which is marvelous. So you don't have any of these little pieces of, you know, there's always 3 little gray hairs at the front that you've missed because you had a barrier or something on it. So just thought it was a nice opportunity to bring that in. Remember, you're leaving, great for working with, or you can use your incredible milk. So thank you to everybody. That's been our beautiful haircut in 5 sections. 1 fringe, 2 side, 1 top, and a whole back section. And wow, I hope you enjoyed that, the full technique, and then sharing those little refining moments. And it's been a great privilege for me to share this with you, and thank you to Gerard for doing great filming, because I know with haircuts it's good if you have somebody that can film you close up and you can really, really see. So that's awesome. So keep checking up on Milkshake North America Facebook page. There's another whole sequence of virtual classes and Facebook Lives that are going to be posted for September and October. So check it out, and we'll look forward to seeing you soon for our next offer. So thank you so much for staying with me, and have a great day. Bye from all of us at Z.one Concept North America. Thank you.